guess I want to cover like 3 or 4 different things in a very short period of time. So I hope I'll be able to pull it off. But basically, I need to explain to you a little bit about who we are and our point of view and what we're actually doing about it, and then get to this meta level of what our approach and sort of the fact of how our organization works signifies in terms of this stakeholder issue that has been so rightly raised as really the central topic for today. So I'll try to do all that very quickly. So first of all, okay, so we're concerned about the ICT labor force. That's our core issue. ICT is information and communications technology. About half of Canada's ICT professionals work in the ICT sector. You know, companies like Bell Canada, IBM, CGI, Research in Motion, so on and so forth, Accenture, tons of companies. The other half work in every other company and every other industry in the country. And all of the points that Karen made about productivity and innovation and knowledge economy and all that stuff in every sector depend on the availability of a skilled labor force to do that work in each of those sectors. And that certainly applies in the hospitality sector, and also in the, as we're moving especially to green and smart power grids, it applies in that sector as well. So my co-panelists, I think, are probably quite aware of that fact and how it's bringing disruptive change into their sectors. So that's the first point. So we're not really talking here about a sector. We're really talking about a field part of which contains a sector, but it's also about all other sectors of the economy. Anyhow, so our organization was formed, as mentioned, about 4 years ago. It's an industry-led organization. Bell Canada started it. We have 30 corporate members. We could probably have a lot more if we were more energetic about recruiting organizations to join. They're all, about half of them are in the ICT sector. Organizations that I've named are all examples of that. But they're also in all other sectors of the economy. So we have several Canadian banks, RBC, Scotiabank, TD Bank, Banque Nationale. We have retailers like Canadian Tire and McCain Foods. We have the Ontario government is a member, not from a policy perspective, but as probably Ontario's largest employer of ICT professionals. We also engage with them on policy, and we also get financial support for our projects, but that's from other parts of the department. This is the Ministry of Government Services that joined. So this truly is employer-led, and it always has been. We also engage many other classes of stakeholders. We have a vibrant relationship with universities across Canada. We're engaged with many other industry organizations. We call ourselves a coalition. We are a coalition. I'm not going to take you through the alphabet soup. Take my word for it. We have real, meaningful, active, ongoing activities with all the key ICT sector organizations across the country. We work with government on policy. They engage with us in our projects. So, we have managed to achieve that multi-stakeholder engagement, and I believe that it is primarily because we are employer-led, and employers are at the table. They pay annual dues. We have quarterly meetings of all our members. Our employers consist entirely, 100% of our executive committee is employers. 100% of our quarterly meetings is employers. And because of that, we're able to reach out to other parts of the community. We're working very actively right now in high schools across Ontario, mainly Toronto, GTA, and Kitchener-Waterloo, with high schools as well, guidance counselors, and so on and so forth. But again, the credibility comes from the fact that the employers are there, and one other factor, which I'm going to get to next. So the issue then is, why are we doing this? Why are all these employers putting all this energy into this? Because they have a problem. And the problem is that there's a fundamental change in the ICT labor market. People don't know about it. The one category of stakeholder, Karen, that was missing in your slide of stakeholders is young career choosers, high school students, parents, teachers, guidance counselors. That's the critical set of stakeholders that we believe we need to target, because if people don't make the right career choices, we're always going to be in catch-up mode down the line. So that's our focus. So what's happening here in this field? Well, first of all, one big issue, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it, is the quality of labor market information. And I'm sure no matter what field you're into, you've got the same problem. But in this field, it really sucks. Because the pace of change, I mean, you know how technology is changing, and you know how it's entering every field. Well, you know, StatsCan has no ability to keep track of that whatsoever. Their national occupational classifications have a very mild relationship to what's actually happening out there in the labor market. I've looked at thousands of job searches, at employer websites. I can never find the words that in the Knox in those job searches. Just a couple of weeks ago, I was involved in doing some analysis on gender equity in the field, and I decided we managed to get hold of 2006 granular census data, and I discovered there's the way StatsCan, ICTC, and everybody else tracks the ICT labor market is they have a list of 14 national occupational classifications for which they publish data every month, and it comes to about 550, 600,000 ICT professionals. I discovered another 200,000 that are not considered to be core ICT occupations. Real ICT jobs, people who install and maintain and repair equipment, for example. In fact, the majority of those occupations were not the kind of PhD level. They were the people who are actually, doing the work on the ground. So that's a huge problem because we don't have that data. A 15-year-old girl who's trying to make a career choice has much less useful information. She can make a very granular and highly informed decision about whether to post a like on Facebook and the economic impact of that, but she has no idea how many jobs there are in maintaining electronic equipment in a hospital and what kind of career there is, what are the career prospects in that field, or bioinformatics or anything in between. So that's a big problem, okay? But having said that, we do know that there is a mismatch. And the core of the mismatch is we know that those traditional ICT jobs that everybody thinks about as what ICT is all about and why nobody wants to go into the field, in fact, those are bad career choices. And we are having a problem attracting people into this field. Our number one equity issue is gender equity, 25% female participation. And people perceive this field as a field where geeks work in basements, doing programming, and the job is about to be offshore to India if it hasn't already, or it's going to become obsolete because, the technology has changed, right? Or they're pulling cable for Bell Canada. Those are like the two career options. Or if there's content to the job, they're doing game design. In Ontario, we have 1,700 students today studying game design, hardcore game design. You know how many jobs there are in hardcore game design in Ontario? About less than 1,000 in total. I was at an industry event a couple of weeks ago. About half of the institutions were promoting their game design programs. Oh. People want to take it. They think that's where the opportunities are. So it's a great export industry. We're sending all those people to California. Anyhow, so we believe we need to change perception. So number one, we've obviously done a lot of theoretical work in order to reach this point. And, there's nothing as practical as a good theory. So what we've done, one of the issues is people don't understand the structure of this labor market. They think it's this big blob with these two horrible geeky careers somewhere in it. So we've developed a 4-layer model. And the biggest gap in the ICT labor market is people with a combination of business and IT skills. That is where all the growth is. That is where all the case studies are, and that's where we're having the hardest time finding people with that combined merged skill set. So we call those people leaders. Then there are people. Then the technical jobs, the kind of most high-end technical jobs, are increasingly specialized, whether in security or analytics or hardware engineering or software engineering or multidisciplinary, like game design or many others like designing smart power grids or building building smart keys into hotel room doors or whatever you're interested in. The arts, next generation opera that's happening right now at the Met, thanks to Canada's own Robert Lepage. So that's the second area. The third area is these traditional programming, web design jobs, and the fourth area is technician jobs, which is huge. It's a very stable, those jobs are never, very few of those jobs are offshoreable, and it's a much bigger part of the 800,000 person plus ICT professional labor force in this country, of which at least a quarter of them are in the city of Toronto, and another 200,000 or 300,000 people who work around them. This is a big part of the Ontario labor force and the Toronto labor force. So we figured that out. We've done some policy work around this. We've raised the issue of the quality of labor market information. We created a new post-secondary program called Business Technology Management, which addresses that #1 need. It's being implemented in 10 universities across Canada. And now we're launching a huge campaign targeting high school students, primarily in the GTA, and it's launching this fall. We've got a website that's launching in a couple of weeks. So we're doing a lot of things. We have funding issues. Our current round of funding runs out at this fall. I'm sure you're all familiar with that problem, but we expect we'll be able to keep that going. So the point about this, is really what I said at the beginning. I really think that it's critical for these kinds of initiatives to be employer-led, because that's really the only way you're going to get results. So let me ask a question, and then I'll let you go. How many people in this room work for a social agency or an organization that's doing advocacy or a union or something like that? Put up your hand. Okay. How many people here work for a real employer who are actually who actually hire people? Yeah. Okay, so we need to fix that. Thanks.